everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of the Simply Mental Podcast. Today, we will be talking with my mom, Heather.
Hi.
And today, we will be talking about the mental health of mental health workers. So, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. So, what is your job?
Well, I have two jobs. I have a full-time job as a social worker at the hospital, and I work with veterans and their caregivers. And I also have my own private practice where I do therapy, psychotherapy for clients, and I do my best to help teach coping skills and just provide space for people to be able to talk about their stress, try to help navigate solutions and problem solving if possible, mostly just maintaining their mental wellness.
Wow, you are a busy woman.
Yes, I like to stay busy.
Yeah, but that's awesome. That's really great. So how do your jobs affect your own mental wellness?
Well, being a social worker is very challenging because you have to hold space for other people and listen to their stories, which I love listening to other people's stories.
Definitely.
But sometimes it impacts my mental health because it can be heavy. I also have my own stress and grief that I experience.
For sure.
I also have some of my own anxiety and can get kind of depressed, seasonally. So there's just times when I might not have a good grip on my own self-care to handle it all.
Definitely. And I think it's also really important to remember that, you're a human too. You experience a lot of the same things that other people go through, and when they come to you about it, but you don't have, most of the time that, you guys don't have someone to go to either. Maybe you have, a friend, or you have your own therapist, but often you're the friend and you're the therapist, even in your own personal life. So I think it's important to remember that, just because they may do it for a job doesn't mean that they don't experience similar things.
Yeah, that's a good point because, I have had a therapist throughout my time as a therapist. Even prior to being a social worker, I had a therapist, which kind of led me down this path. But it is really important for every, mental health worker to have that outlet, whether it's with
Definitely
their own therapist or friend or coworker or colleague.
Yeah, for sure. And especially because you deal with such heavy stuff on the daily basis, it's important to have an outlet and someone you're able to trust and able to talk to.
Yes.
So what types of challenges do you face in your own life or while helping other people?
Well, there's a lot of challenges when you're trying to help others kind of manage their own struggles. There's a lot of compassion fatigue that can come from that. Also, sometimes secondary trauma, depending on what's happening. For me, it's difficult sometimes to get in the right mindset if I'm going through a lot of stress or feeling anxious that day. I have to really focus. I have to take deep breaths. I have to, turn off my brain to my own life and get into that mode of just providing space for my client to be able to actively listen to them, to understand what they're saying, and to not get distracted.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have those coping skills that you're able to use so that you're able to be in the right mindset to help others. Can you explain compassion fatigue a little further?
Sure. So, as a human being, we generally have compassion for other people. When we're in this field, we are, providing the service, right, of being there to hear everyone's stories. And your body kind of deals with fatigue and just getting sometimes drained, sometimes because you're constantly using this energy to provide compassion to others and to actively listen. And if you're in a situation where there's something very sad, or I'm trying to just think of the words, like descriptive words of things that could be happening for somebody. If they're going through trauma, you're using a lot of energy in those moments when you're trying to work with them and to help them through that process of their feelings. So it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, so it's like emotional energy that
Emotional and physical,
physical,
right? Because you can tense up your body without realizing it, and you kind of hold all of that within like your shoulders, or in your chest and your neck, your back, like your posture. It's just a physical and a mental fatigue.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for explaining that. So what do you do to keep your mentality healthy and a positive mindset?
Well, I'm not the greatest at self-care. I try to stretch and take deep breaths. I do a lot of praying because that's just something that I do every day on my way to work and sometimes on the way home from work. Music is a big one for me. I really enjoy music, and it kind of helps me when I'm not in a session with a client. I listen to music that either makes me feel uplifted or helps me release my feelings. It's hard sometimes, but journaling is something that I used to do a lot, and I have kind of gotten away from it a little bit. I'd like to get back into it, but I found that was very helpful for me.
Yes, and so alongside of that, you've also mentioned that you have a goal, a big dream of yours to write a book.
I do.
Would you say that maybe that could be?
It could be. It could be. I haven't had the time to really focus on it and to give it the attention that I want to give it, but I did start it. I found that it was very helpful to me just to finally sit down and get it started. I really think that it will be something that will kind of help me process some of the things that I've been through in life, or things that I have experienced with professional experience, because the different things that I want to write about kind of touch on all of that. So
yeah, all right, I like that. I think that could be a really great way to maybe even release some of those emotions that you have held on to. Maybe if even, because we're all human, we all experience emotions and feelings, and sometimes we hold on to those feelings, and I feel like that even if it's not our intention, it can still, sometimes we still do hold on to those feelings, and I think that would be a really great way of letting go as well, of all of the harmful, all of and even of the good things that just aren't good anymore.
Yeah, so I think writing about your experiences in your personal life or your professional life, you're not just writing about the bad things, you're writing about the good things too,
Mhm.
right? And so a
Yes.
lot of it is rewarding.
Mhm.
It's not all doom and gloom and sadness. There's a lot of reward and a lot of positivity.
Mhm.
And I do like to focus on positive thinking, positive
Yes.
psychology, because I am an optimistic person. I'm a positive thinker in my personal life. I definitely
Me
try
too.
to keep that at the forefront of the work that I do.
Yeah.
Not everybody thinks that way. Not everybody has the same mindset I do, and I'm not trying to push that on anyone, but it has been helpful to me.
Yes, and I definitely agree. I also think that I'm a pretty positive person. I I work to share positivity and inspire others on their mental wellness journey. So, and I feel that that is very rewarding, just having a positive mindset. And it's hard to stay positive all the time. And I know for sure that I am not always positive all the time. I'm sure you have your moments.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, it is hard to stay positive, but it's not that being a positive thinker means that you're never in a negative space, because there's a lot of negativity in the world, and it can take over at times. But it's finding the the positive part of your negative feelings. So
Yes.
learning how to just to you can complain about things and talk about things and process your feelings, but then see the positive side of it. Like, what meaning does this have? How is this going to help me grow or change and learn from it, right? We just
Hmm.
have to kind of find a way to spin it so it doesn't take us down and it doesn't keep us down.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I think you put that, like, you worded that very well. And I feel like we all need to share positivity more often because our world is so negative. It's just not healthy. We just need more positivity.
I agree. It's really difficult because, especially in the world today, there's a lot of anger and distrust and condescending ways that people speak to each other. And it's been a little bit disheartening. Just most recently, I've just been seeing a lot more of it where people have not been kind to each other. So I find doing something nice for someone else, or just being kind and trying not to fall into that petty trap of being out for yourself, just trying to be
Hmm.
a little selfless instead of selfish, is helpful, because um, other people are going through a lot too. It's not just about what we're going through personally. Other people are going through stuff too, and everyone has a story. So I try to remember that whenever something happens that brings me to a negative space, that I want to try to do something to help someone else, because that will help me at the same time.
Yes, and you never know what people are going through. It's important to stay positive, be kind to other people, and treat them the way that you would want to be treated. Because if you're having a bad day, you're going through a lot, and somebody's just nagging at you and just being rude and condescending, you're not gonna, it's not gonna make you feel good. So I think that the golden rule, it's everyone always uses it, but it's really important that we actually try to embody it and actually try to be kind to people and treat people the way that you personally would want to be treated.
Yeah, I agree.
So what have you done to spread positivity and kindness to other people in, like, your everyday life? Just
Well, it's a general rule of mine that if I walk by someone, I smile at them and I say hello, especially at work. Like, I'll say hello or good morning. I'll hold a door open for people, or if I think someone looks like they don't know where they're going, in the hospital, I try to help them find where they're going. It's kind of difficult sometimes to always be aware of your surroundings or what other people are thinking or feeling.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Sometimes we get stuck in our own head. I do try to just remember that everyone is going through something, so it doesn't matter what I'm going through. I just want to be nice and not make anyone else feel worse about themselves.
Yes. And I love that. I think it's very important to make people feel good. It's just I just think it's so important that we just are kind to people. And I've experienced bullying in school. I've experienced a lot of mean people, and in my life I've had people just treat me unkindly, and I know I don't like it, so I really try to treat people nicely and be kind to others and do things for people whenever I can, because I feel that that's how I would want somebody to do that for me. So and I think it's really important that we do things for other people, because at the end of the day, everybody goes through things, and it's important to do things for a cause that's bigger than yourself, and that even can just be people.
That is so true. But I also want to mention that it's really important to show grace for yourself.
Yes.
And to be kind to yourself. So that's something that I've struggled with all my life, and I have really been trying to focus more on this year, is allowing myself to have a little grace for days where I'm not at my best, and remind myself that I'm human, and just try to forgive myself for things that I might have done wrong or made a mistake. As a parent, I don't always respond the best when we have an interaction that's, my tone might be off, or even with others. I do try to check in with my friends, also to let them know I'm thinking of them, see how they're doing, but just really trying to remind myself that I'm allowed to have feelings too, and I need to show myself a little bit of grace, because if I can be kind to others, but I also have to be kind to myself.
Yes, and I think that it's hard to be a human. Like, I know I've said this before, but we're all on this planet for the first time. We're all experiencing life for the first time. Nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to know everything. And I know that negative self-talk is a huge thing that so many people struggle with, including myself. And sometimes it's hard to just check in with other people. Sometimes it's hard to be kind to other people, but we just have to remember that we need to take care of ourselves first, because if we're not in the right mindset, if we don't have a good mental health relationship, if we don't have that self-love, then how are we supposed to treat other people that way when we can't even treat ourselves with the kindness that we deserve?
Very good point. Yes. And I know that negative self-talk is usually kind of a go-to for most people. And so in my work that I do with a lot of my clients, is I remind them about how to change the negative self-talk to positive, And we talk a lot about how to do that, because that's hard. It is really hard to change a habit. And using sticky notes is a really good way to write down a positive thought about yourself and put it up where you're going to see it, whether it's on your mirror or your desk or a notebook. I also like the stickers that we've been seeing, that I sometimes get for you.
Yes.
Those are really great too. And you're never too old to have a really good sticker that reminds you to be good to yourself, or you know that.
I love a good self-love sticker.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Yes, and I also really do love the sticky notes with things that you love about yourself or positive affirmations, because it's good to just have that reminder when you're just living your everyday life and you're in the bathroom and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and maybe you're starting to get down, and then you see your sticky note and you're like, I am beautiful, I love my eyes, I have a good heart. It can be really uplifting.
Yeah. Or a reminder of, today everything's going to be okay. I'm not going to let anything bring me down.
I'm going to get through my hard times. I will achieve my goals. I will. Yes.
These feelings are temporary.
Yes.
And if you can't use sticky notes, like physical sticky notes, you can keep it in your phone, like in your notes in your phone, and just have a thing where you want to look at it, set your alarm or whatever to it, something.
You can set reminders, you can, and on your reminder, it can just be whatever it is. Like, I will get through this. This too shall pass. So my next question is, how do you prevent getting burnt out with your work?
Oh, well, that's hard. Because I feel pretty burnt out most times lately. Having a good diet and good sleep is really important, because you have to be able to take care of your physical body to take care of your mental part of your body. So definitely getting enough sleep and staying hydrated, drinking a lot of water. Coffee helps.
May not be the healthiest choice, but
well, I drink a cup or two a day, but that helps me in the mornings. But really, it's about just allowing myself time to rest. So listening to my body. My body gets tired throughout the day, so I need to rest after work. We're busy all the time, running, and your mind is just busy all day long, because you're thinking of things. You're trying to do your bills, you're trying to do your work, you're trying to cook dinner, you're trying to figure out all your groceries and all the different things life brings at you, and trying to time management and everything, take care of the dogs, clean the house. But just allowing yourself that time, that mental rest. So for me, that really kind of is like sitting in front of the TV and watching a mindless show that I don't have to think about my life, because I can just be in the show and I love it. Or, praying and music, obviously, those are big ones for me too, that I already said that I really enjoy doing those. They help me a little bit to get through. Trying to turn my mind off, using some thought stopping techniques. So if my mind starts ruminating over something from the day, or something I said or should have said or didn't say, or whatever it is, something from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it could still replay. Allowing myself to use these thought stopping techniques, stop it in its tracks.
Yeah, and I also think it's important to schedule time for rest. And I think that you're good at that. you have like your routine for every day. You come home from work and you bring me to dance, you you make dinner, and then you watch your show. So that's pretty much your routine. It changes like pretty much every day. But like
changes, but I allow myself at least an hour.
Yes.
And then I usually fall asleep.
Yes, on the couch. And I would say that for me, what I do for my rest when I'm not sleeping is I take a bath. I sit in the bathtub and I just relax. That's my relax time. For you, it's your watching mindless TV shows. I bathe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, exercise also would be good. I'm not the greatest at doing that regularly, but I want to get better at it. So
yes.
I do stretching, throughout the day at work. I try at least in between what I can do. And then, at home it's a little tougher because the couch is right there and I'd rather be just resting on the couch.
The couch is right there. Yes, you walk in the door and there's our couch.
Yes.
And it's so comfy.
Calling me.
Yes. I get it. What is your best tip for someone who is facing mental struggles?
My best tip is to just honestly be genuine about what's happening. Like, think about what you're struggling with and talk to someone, because I am probably the worst person at reaching out when I need help, because I don't ask for help very easily. I don't, it's hard for me. I don't like to talk about anything I'm struggling with, and I will hold it until I can't hold it any longer, and then I cry.
Yes.
So,
me too.
I would say don't do what I do, but find someone that you could talk to, that you trust. And if you have to say, I just need to talk to you, I don't need you to talk back, just listen. That's okay to do, and ask someone to please don't try to fix my problem, but just listen to me so I can process it. Or, find a professional, get a therapist. Every therapist should have a therapist, but every human being should be able to have a therapist too. If you, you shouldn't be afraid of it. And
I know
it's really helpful just to have someone who's not your family member, not your friend, someone who is just a professional that does not know you other than in therapy. It's really good to be able to have that.
Yes. And I feel like it's having someone like that, it's such a no judgment zone because you don't know them outside of therapy. So I think that people shouldn't feel afraid. I mean, I understand that people do, but I feel that people shouldn't have to feel afraid of therapy, because the only reason you're there is for help. And another thing is that I think it's important to I think, like you said, it's important to be able to have someone to talk to, whether it is like a therapist or a family member or a friend. But I think that I really enjoy having someone who I'm not as close to, that I can just tell them about what I'm going through, and either they'll help me or they'll listen. But also, when you're talking to like your family or your friends, like you said, that having to just say, don't try to fix my problems, I just need you to listen. Because it's natural for people to try to fix whatever you're going through. So when you are talking to someone, I think that it's really, and if you don't want the help, if you don't want them to try and fix your problems, I think it's really important to tell them, because their natural response is most likely going to be to try and fix it and try to give you solutions. But sometimes you may not be ready to take those solutions. You may not be ready to or maybe you just don't even, and maybe the solutions that they're giving you aren't right, or
maybe
for the
you've
situation,
already
or
tried all the things that you
mhm.
know someone's going to recommend, and you just really needed to process what you're feeling or all the things that you have already tried, and you're not necessarily asking for help, you're just asking for someone to listen.
Yes. And so yes, I think that it's really important that we that people are able to say, I don't want help, I just want you to listen. You know?
Yeah, or maybe they don't know what they want in that moment, and they don't know what they need, and they just really need someone just to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, just having support from another human being, or maybe not even a human being. It
Could
could
be a
be a dog.
dog.
Yes. A cat, a
Yes.
bird, a
It
bunny.
could be
Could
a
be a pet.
dog.
Yes, a dog. I
Yeah.
love dogs.
Yeah, that's true. And, I know a lot of people are spiritual, so
Mhm.
sometimes your spirituality can be really helpful to get you to that place of just you have someone to talk to all the time if you believe in God, right? You can
Yes,
always
you
talk to God.
always can lean on God.
Or if it's the universe, or you're trying to um you just get in touch with your own self, like yoga is really good because
Mhm.
of meditation. There's like that meditative piece with mindfulness
Yeah.
and your breathing and all of that. So
Yes. Yeah, I really enjoy yoga and meditation. I think that it helps me a lot just to be present in my own body and in my own mind, but not with my mind on and rambling and scrambling, just being present and not worrying about the past or the future. Just being there. And I think that helps me a lot. And I think it helps a lot of other people too. But it may not help you, but it may, I
yeah, I think
think,
it's different for everybody, and
yeah.
you don't know until you try.
Yeah, I think it's just great to try. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
And
What's the
then you
worst that
try
could
something
happen?
else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The quote for today is, mental health is not a destination, but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you're going. This quote is by Noam Shpancer with a PhD. And I really like this quote because, well, for one, I love going on car rides. But for two, I think it's also really important that we remember that when we're trying to better our mental health, there are going to be ups and downs, and you're not trying to get to one place and stay there forever. Things are going to change. Change is inevitable. It's bound to happen. So instead of thinking about it as a destination, think about it as all of the different sights that you'll see on your road trip, all of the different activities that you will engage in. And there are going to be different things that will happen, and there are going to be different steps you will take in your mental wellness journey. But, and even when you do at one point get to a really great state of mind, something could happen and then you could hit rock bottom again. Or maybe not even, but you could just take a couple steps back.
Well, we call that ebb and flow. So like your mental health can ebb and flow. Like it can change over time, and just when you get into a rut, you want to find a way to bring you out of it. And that journey, that drive that you're going to take, it's not about where you're going, it's about the journey, right? It's about
Mhm.
the drive and what you make of it
Mhm.
while you're in it. you know.
Yes.
So one thing I forgot to mention, though, that is really important to me in coping or to not get burnt out is humor. Like laughing.
Yeah.
Laughing at least once a day is so helpful.
Yes.
Because life is so serious most of the time. You have to find the humor in whatever you can.
Yeah.
And not to dismiss any feelings or to make fun of anyone or anything like that, but you know, just finding a way to laugh at either your own self or your own, you know, situation, or a good joke that is not at the expense of someone else.
Yes.
You know, laughing with your friends, talking about funny memories, anything like that. So it can be extremely uplifting.
Yes, I agree. And I think that the best laughs are from the positive things that you may talk about, or the positive jokes, or the positive even mistakes that could happen, instead of, like, because sometimes we do laugh at other people or all like negative things. So I think that it's important to try to stay positive about it and be kind and make sure that our laughs are fun and uplifting and not gonna bring you down later on.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Yes, thank you for joining me. And thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Simply Mental Podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so that you can see more. And I will see you for the next episode.